So I was just listening to a congressional hearing with a guy named Jack something or other, I don't know. He's some guy was investigating the Donald Trump stuff. Now there's one part in there, mind you, I don't like Trump. My personal belief is that the man should be in prison for the rest of his natural life. Now, when Donald Trump said that some of the witnesses who had spoke out about him in the election fraud were should be put to death, well, that's not a direct threat, that's an opinion. Let me tell you what a direct threat is. A direct threat is that feller who got a hold of me and told me that he is going to dismember my niece and send me pictures of his cock in her gutted chest. That's a very direct threat. Tim Beeson telling me that he is going to kill me is definitely a direct threat. These people messaging me that they're going to rape my sister with a fence post, that is a direct threat. People typing at me and messaging at me and calling me and yelling at me in real life to say that they're going to kill me. Those are direct threats. You being angry that somebody said something is not a direct threat. And Donald Trump has abused his power to show that, yes, those things that were not direct threats, well, they were for Donald Trump. It wasn't just an insinuation. Donald Trump actually did that shit. Now, this feller also wanted to say some other ignorant shit. Let me pause for a second. I'm going to try to make sure. If you say, if you come after me, I'll come after you. This Jack feller said that he couldn't think of a more, in his mind, he couldn't think of a more direct threat. I can, because I can give examples. I can show examples of threats against my life that TFCC pretends are delusions, that the police pretend are delusions. With this lady, Kylie, admitting that she knew that the Natalie Bollinger situation was not a delusion, possibly going back as far as 3 years ago. It's 2026, so that would be, what, 2023? She was possibly aware of it as far back as 2023, and yet nearly all of the paperwork that I have of theirs in 2023 and 2024 and 2025, they continue to pretend that the Natalie Bollinger situation is a delusion. And they continued to use that to harm me in court repeatedly, to allow John Holland and the other employees who worked at TFCC to abuse their position of power and assist the police in selling a false narrative, something they knew to be untrue, specifically with the intent and purpose of preventing me from turning them in with evidence to other people. They intentionally stole evidence, they intentionally withheld evidence, they intentionally destroyed evidence. I'm talking about the Sheriff's Department and the Police Department and the people at Tillamook Family Counseling Center, as well as people at CARE. And we've got recordings from all of these different places where they admit that. There's always some excuse why it's magically legal to destroy that evidence, isn't it? Like if they don't allow you the assistance that you need as a disabled person, the rights that you have are completely denied. Look at how many crimes have been committed because the police won't do their jobs. Instead, they try to frame me as some sort of fucking violent, schizophrenic, delusional lunatic who's just out to harm people. If I know the name of the piece of shit who told me something, I'll tell you the name of the POS. I'm not going to hide or protect the names of your predators. And if you are predatory towards me, I'm not going to protect you by hiding your name either. That only helps you as my predator in getting away with it. There's lots of people who wanted to get pissed off and be angry that I posted evidence with them on YouTube. Well, they had plenty of opportunity to tell the truth. They had plenty of opportunity to go in with me. They had plenty of opportunity to go to the police with me. They had plenty of opportunity to go to the media with me. They had plenty of opportunity to look at evidence. They had plenty of opportunity to share that evidence. All of these people who were involved before Natalie was killed were given the opportunity to tell the truth, and they didn't. And that's why their conversations with me about it, they show that I did tell the truth, that I was lied to, that I was intentionally misled because they were just too lazy to do it. There were people who, well, let me give you the example of Mandy Hughes. So I was letting Mandy Hughes know that nobody was helping me turn this in. The people who claimed that they would were just procrastinating. And then she starts sending me pictures showing that she's at the Broomfield Police Department, which is where she said that she was going to help me to turn this stuff in. Well, afterwards, she tells me, oh, well, they wouldn't let me turn stuff in. They told me that I can't turn in a crime for somebody else. But I was in there actually to turn in crimes that were committed against me. So she wasn't there to turn in any of the stuff that she said that she would help me to turn in. She claimed that she tried, claimed that she had made that effort while she was there to do her own stuff. Very noble. But in court, the police officers lied and said that nobody would help me, probably because of the way that I act. Now, people had been helping me. They just hadn't been helping me how I needed. They had been procrastinating and wasting my time. When your friend or family member is being abused, you have to turn it in. Once they are called mentally ill, they no longer have the right to turn in a goddamn crime, and you have seen this time and again with me. You say I have the right. No, I have the right to make the attempt. But they're not going to do their job for a disabled homeless man. That's reality. While you talk about this habeas corpus crap, I repeatedly had failure to appear on my record because I was prevented from appearing due to incarceration. And what did any of my attorneys, public pretenders, do about that? Nothing. None of them made any effort whatsoever. None of them cared. They were too busy helping the prosecution, and that is the same thing my public pretenders here have done. They make no attempt whatsoever to defend me. They make no attempt whatsoever to tell the truth. And every one of them has done all they can to help the prosecution. I very easily could have been convicted of a crime I didn't commit if it wasn't for the fact that the judge in my case was not a fucking moron. She did what it is that my attorney should have done from the start. If he had followed what it is that I was telling him, instead of letting AI do it for him and refusing to actually look at the evidence, pretending that he'd looked at it when he didn't, telling me that evidence is not important. And then later, when we actually sat down and watched some of those videos, it was obvious that even though he said he'd watched them, it was literally the first time he'd watched them. And all of the stuff that he said was unimportant while we were watching the videos, he's getting all excited and telling me how important this stuff is. Fucking Christ. And they get to hide behind the fact that you can't record. Same thing with the police. When they don't release the whole truth, that's called framing. They're not allowed to do that. It's illegal. And they did exactly that. My own public pretenders were not at any point actually trying to do their jobs. So I want to thank you to Judge Amanda Benjamin for not being a complete and total waste of space. Yeah, we got to at least have a judge from a different county come in. The conflicts of interest with the police in all of these cases and the conflicts of interest with the judge in all of these cases does need to be looked at. You cannot treat human beings like this. I am not just an American citizen. I am a human being. While many of you care more about immigrants than the homeless, more about immigrants than you do about men, more about immigrants than you do about the disabled. The fact is, I still see immigrants as human beings, but you're still not recognizing me as being even as much of a human being as an immigrant. I'm not human to you. That's pretty gross.